I was born in Penang. I live in a village, in a very small town. The area where I grew up is very well known for produce a lot of gangsters. Even people from downtown, when you say you're thinking if you're coming to pass through our area, they have certain fear. And I grew up with all my friends, and many of them were the children of some mafia people or the gangster. I was very rebellious. I always know my right as a man, and I don't want people to show me that unreasonable approach. Even I was studying in England, and even my colleagues sometimes they try to show their superiority. I will fight back, and I say that is not right. I won't take this nonsense. So it helped me. Even my music, I'm willing to express. I'm not afraid not to express what I feel about in sound, in music, everything. My father was my first teacher. He taught me for a few months, and later he found the only violin teacher in Penang, and his name is called Mr. Louis Lim, and he himself was a good violinist. Of course, it was such an opportunity that I found a teacher in Penang when I was a little boy, and I started to learn the violin when I was 10. When I think back, he just teach me how to play the violin, as simple as that. And like for instance, playing the scale, which I never have a chance to play. Instead, I started to play even difficult pieces. But he was a very inspiring teacher and very encouraging. My principal study was a violin performance. Composition is only my second subject. But before I officially studied composition, I began to compose. And I wrote my first string quartet. After practicing, and I told my colleagues, I said that, have you ever heard Chinese composer music? Do you like to play some of the Chinese composer work? And they said, oh yes, we never heard any Chinese composer music. We love to play. So I took out the music, and we played the music. And after finished playing, and then I asked them, do you like the music? And they said they love the music. And something is very different from Western music. So I asked them again, are you sure you like my music? And they said they love it. I said, I wrote the music. They said, you're joking. I said, I wrote the music. They still don't believe me. I said, the reason I dare not tell you I'm the composer because if I tell you you're going to play my music, you're going to refuse. So during our lesson, the professor said, okay, next term, what are you going to learn? He said, they want to play Kam Kee Yong music. That's the most funny. Of course, the professor, he didn't smile. He looked at me with the big eyes. He didn't say anything. So I said, oh my goodness, I'm in big trouble. And that's okay. Can you play something for us? So we played the string quartet. Actually, I only completed 3 movements, you know. And then after he heard the music, he said, who taught you composition? I said, no, I didn't study composition with anybody. And then he said, who is a harmony professor? I said, Dr. Regan. He said, can you go and call him down? He was teaching on the 5th floor. So in my heart, I said, I'm in big trouble now. Now you're going to call the professor to come down, and I don't know what he's up to. The moment the professor came into the studio, he quickly stand up and brought a chair. Professor, please sit down. So I was wondering what's going on. He said, can you play now 3rd movement on my string quartet? So we played the piece, and then he turned to the professor and said, there's something, isn't it? And then unexpected, he said that you are going to give world premiere of this string quartet at the Royal Academy of Music. So we performed the work, and after the performance, so I thought maybe I should study composition, you know? And then I went to see the vice principal, the Maya Fogin. So I said, well, I want to study composition as my second subject. He said, no, you cannot study composition. I said, why? He said, you only know 3 chords. I only know 3 chords, you know. I went back, of course, I studied my work, and I found, oh yeah, maybe there's a very little modulation. Maybe I really truly know only 3 chords. He was right. So I said, oh my goodness, I must improve myself. So I wrote my second string quartet, called string quartet number 2 in D minor, Malaysian. It was world premiere again at the Royal Academy Music. It was so well received. And then the principal, Sir Thomas Armstrong, after the performance, came to me and said, boy, you have made a great improvement from your first string quartet. So I went to see the vice principal again, Mr. Maya Foggin. I said, I want to study composition. Then he smiled. He said, now you can study composition. Usually, before I compose a piece of music, I must have a story. For instance, the poem of Tang Dynasty, which I love very much, because they describe a lot about the life of that time. And the thing happened in that period. It's the same as today. They surround us with the same kind of story, same experience. So it's very dear to me. And so if I suppose I'm writing the Surpassing Beauty, and it was actually talking the life of Tan Boon. And he has such a tremendous tragic life. And I have a great sympathy of this great poet. And I feel in my life, there's also a time I had same experience. And I feel I can express through the music to share the anxiety, the thing he had gone through. And then the whole piece is very clear in the mountain solitude, the peacefulness, and time of forsaken, the anger. So that's, I had a picture, so I just follow very faithfully in his poem, word to word, and demonstrate and able to write music that really can touch the heart of people. Same thing when I do the painting. This painting that you can see is called cotton, you know, all right? And two persons still play the instrument, but the development of this environment, you see, the flower, the plant, and all this color of construction is like a theme and a harmony development. I will improvise certain color scenery I want. Of course, improvisation is only given general idea, but when I come to work to write a piece of music that involves with concentration, discipline, and planning, and then to depend what writing for, and then to try to express exactly what is in the whole story. When I paint is a music, and when I write music is a painting. So they are so much connected. They are just the same language, one in sound, one in color. In 1960, and I told my father, I want to go to study music in England, but we don't have the money. So my father said, maybe I give a violin recital, maybe try to raise some fund. So I gave a violin recital in the Penang Girls High School in Penang. More than 1,000 people came to my recital, and I think we raised more than $1,000. And then it happened, this man, Mr. Tan Boon Peng, he just dropped in the concert that night. After the concert, he came to the backstage, and he was talking to my father. He said, how much you raised the money from that concert? My father said, about over $1,000. He said, $1,000, you want to send your son to go and study in England? Are you crazy? You know how much it costs? Not even enough the money to buy a ticket, you know. He said, can you bring your son and come to the Rubber Trade Association? And after that, I said, okay, we are going to raise funds for your son to go and study in England. So he took a book, and then, Mr. Tan, so how much you want to contribute to sponsor this young man? And Mr. Tan said, okay, I will pay $5,000. So after they raise the money, I think it's not enough. The rest, he said he's responsible. This is how I went to study music in England, just by a kind person who doesn't know music. I founded this orchestra, and with so many young children. This is a wonderful experience for me, because at that time, a lot of students came to me. I had to start them from ground zero, and they are very young. And then also I train them in group. To train orchestra in group is a very different way of teaching. We have given many concerts, and then until one day the director of the Warner Brothers company heard our concerts, and he was so impressed, and he approached us and said, we want to cut 2 long playing records of the orchestra. So I wrote a lot of work for them, and one is a Chinatown Suite, and one is Marine Paris Suite, and also many short pieces. And so we did this wonderful 2 recording, and the children and I spent in the studio more than 100 hours within 2 weeks. the support of the parents, and we did such a wonderful recording, for this project. If I try to write music that are Western, and I don't find my originality. I can just be a follower, try to imitate what they're doing. They already done already. I become a shadow. The music I write, I want to present the language I'm speaking, and also the culture I understand. Right? I cannot pretend, to be Western. If I have my feeling, of what I understand very well, so I want to use my music to express of my culture background, right? And then also I think for the Western, they love to hear things like that. They don't want me to write a piece of music sound like Beethoven or Mozart. The Western composer, they already find they had nothing to write, They had developed so far already, So now if they are coming to the East to look for something to inspire them. Me as Singaporean Chinese, I understand my culture. I have so much for me to pick, right? And I can already write music that rooted what I understand, all right? So that is very important for a composer. You have to be what you are and write what is in your heart. Each country have their own sound, and I want to have a music of my own sound. The melody I try to write, actually I'm speaking Chinese in my music. Tonality in the melody can be a language. 你好吗? So you can do ha la la dia di ha yi ha ha, right? It's all a Chinese word. 好吗? Oh. My music actually is my temperament, and you know me, very well. And I wanted to talk to her anything, as she know me too well. For instance, she played this work for solo violin. I'm trying to use a violin imitating the sound of flute, Chinese flute, 二胡, 三弦, 琵琶, and also the percussion. I want her to play like she's playing the pipa, and I want it to be absolutely jumping, springboard. She says she wants to do it her own way. But I say I want it to be pipa, the springboard. But she don't want to do springboard, she put on the bow. But still it sounds like pipa, it's fine. My daughter has a strong character like me, right? It's good. I don't want to be absolute control. She's a grown-up person, she has the right to feel what is the best way she wants to do. Well, we have some little argument here and there, but most of the time I'm very convinced. After reading the poem, and I had in mind that I want to construct this work for solo violin and orchestra. The main theme of this old general, when he was in old age, he was pondering about his life. Second section is a fast section, and he was pondering about his life when he was a young man. And he was a great warrior. He was riding on a horse, and then the galloping of the horse, and then the awesome sound of the war. I thought this is a wonderful section and very lively. And the third one, after dreaming, and he come back to real person. And then finally, the country was invaded by enemy. And then the king need every manpower, young and old. And because he was the old general, but they still need him. So the king summoned him to go to war again. So the moment that when he was called out to serve the country again, finally he was so proud, and that's why at the end, the first subject of the melody appeared again. But this time, in a very majestically format, that he's going to war. So finally he was on a horse, charging into the battlefield. That end the whole work. It's so wonderful for the construction with a different, rhythm and different color, and able to bring out a very effective piece of work for the violin and the orchestra. I think most composers, we have one thing in common. we never satisfied with our music, our own work. Even when I was writing the 6 book to perform for with the SSO, oh my goodness, for River, every single piece, after I finish, I go back again, I do correction, and I go back, I do correction, and never end. So one day I told myself, I said, I have to put a stop. If I don't do that, I'm going to go crazy. And after all, men, we are very limited. But I think as a composer, yeah, you talk to say whether I like all my music. Well, I tell you, here and there, I'm not satisfied. You know, and this will never end. And time is very important. You just need to be patient. Talent is one thing only, but you know, you have to work so hard. Mozart, probably, he wrote so many music. He worked very, very hard. Every composer worked very hard. Schubert, poverty overtake him. He created so many hundred songs, great symphony, chamber music, right? So it's a long journey for musicians, right? And then the musician, when it comes to a certain age, maybe they found that they want to branch to be a composer. Okay, it's wonderful, right? This is a personal choice. But I would say, if you want to make a living as a composer, it's very hard. But if you really have love, go ahead. For me, how much money I make as a composer? Very little. But why I can continue to compose music? Because of the love. When you have the love for what you're doing, nothing can take away.